Hello, welcome to Not Quite Novelist. This is the show where new friends are made literally on the spot each and every episode. I'm your host, Savannah, and with me today, our guest. She is a content creator and all-around internet witch, Xristi. I don't know why I pronounce it differently in my head whenever I read it.
I understand. Yep, it's Xristi with an X. So every barista everywhere hates me.
Yeah. I would tell them, just make a K, but then take that back line and just bend it a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I just kind of put my head down and go, just spell it with a K.
It's
so
like
close.
It's fine.
It's so close. Yep.
I love it. All right. Well, you know how this works. I've kind of reconfigured the list a little bit since last episode. The theme is more like characters. Like, what kind of people are in this, you know? Tone is anything from, genre to setting. All right, we're going to go with theme first. That was so close to being something really funny, but at the same time, I really love this one that we just got. All right, and I'll tell you both of them after I get both prompts here. So tone.
Perfect.
And now tone is anything from genre to. As the audience can see now, our theme is ghosts.
Wonderful. Perfect.
Yep. Our tone is mockumentary.
Oh my god.
So we're thinking Parks and Rec, The Office, I'm sure you know and love the just as much as I do, so this is going to be hilarious. Because actually, our first, the first episode of this show, the theme the tone actually landed on sitcom, but we ended up turning it into workplace, documentary show, like these, so this with ghosts is going to be so great.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. So, to get started, my first question I want to ask with these characters, are the ghosts the ones in the mockumentary, the dead people, in the show having these talking head moments, interviews with cameras, but they're dead? Or is it maybe there's a medium who talks to ghosts, and that's the whole documentary, is them having to deal with talking to these spirits?
Sure. This is a great question. In my brain, I went to a paranormal investigation.
Yeah.
Where it would be the paranormal investigators going to places, investigating, and having their little sit-down moments. But I kind of like the idea that somehow the ghosts are also sitting down as having these talking head things, or the gym face at the camera. I kind of like the idea of them both, it being this dynamic, almost like a mundane workplace mockumentary show, but it's with both of them, and they're trying to communicate with each other, but only the documentary crew seem to pick up both sides.
Yeah, I feel I absolutely, I feel there is so many paranormal investigator and also parody of the paranormal investigator type of shows. There's so many of those that having a little twist and having the ghost also be a part of it would be so great. Or maybe it's the workplace documentary on this one particular place that is super haunted, and each episode is them dealing with another film crew coming in to do these paranormal investigations.
Yeah,
and maybe the ghosts are hey, we'll look at the camera and go, hey, watch this, and they slam one cabinet and everyone loses their minds.
Absolutely.
I love it. I tend to lean towards, so in these episodes I tend to lean towards, okay, each person, both of us, let's have our main character, and then we can kind of branch out and start making everybody else. So,
okay.
Who would you want your main character to be? Do you want your main character to be a ghost, or to be maybe an investigator?
I lean towards ghost, because I feel there's more room for for me to mess around with people, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I would be like, oh, I would be a rad ghost.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Having the best time.
Yeah, absolutely.
A nightmare.
There's a show that I absolutely love called Being Human. And there's a British version and an American version, but I love the American version. That's the one, like, I watched first, so that's the one I got into first. And one of the like main, so it's like a main trio show. It's a werewolf and a vampire moved in together to kind of be like, oh, we can, like, help each other to stay hidden from the human world or whatever. So we, like, let's be buddies. They moved in together into a haunted house, and there's a ghost in the house. And the ghost character cracks me up. I actually, knowing what I know about you, I think you would really like this show, because it's funny, but it's, like...
That sounds right up my alley.
Yeah. The serious moments are really good. There's, like, the romantic moments are really good. The comedy is spot on. Like, everything about this show, I love it. So, if you can find Being Human, specifically the American version, watch it. You're gonna love it. I think Sally is the ghost character, and I think you're gonna fall in love with her because she is, like, sassy, she's funny, and, like, her learning how to be a ghost is really, really interesting. Her whole storyline.
I was just gonna say that the two shows, when you said, like, Ghost Mockumentary together, that I thought of, like, two immediately came to mind, and one is Ghosts, which they have BBC, and an American version, which is about a couple that, like, move into a mansion, and then one of them has, like, a near-death experience and can suddenly see that her house is haunted, and both of they're, like, comedy. Now she has to live with these ghosts. Awesome. And the other one is also a comedy by the same people who do What We Do in the Shadows, and it does not get the credit that it deserves. It's called Wellington Paranormal, and it's about two, like, cops in New Zealand that are, like, deal with paranormal stuff that's happening, and there's, like, kind of What We Do in the Shadows crossover with some of the characters, and I feel like both of those are so underrated, and they both kind of have that, like, deadpan sitcom comedy about them, and they're both great.
Okay,
so.
I love that. My favorite thing about this is, like, I get to geek out about stuff that I like, because these prompts make me think, like, oh, what if we did something similar to this, or what if this character liked this music, or whatever. But then other people, you know, my guests get to geek out to me about stuff, and I'm like, yay, I get to, like, I'm gonna write them down, and I'm gonna have, like, a whole list compiled of, like, new stuff I get to, like, watch or listen to. So... Yeah,
absolutely.
So Ghosts and Wellington Paranormal?
Wellington Paranormal.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I love that. I'm absolutely going to look up both of those, and everyone, y'all should too. Maybe, okay, this is going to sound really funny, but what if the, like, documentary, because my first thought for a main character for myself is also Ghost, because there's, again, you're right, there is so much room to do so much cool, interesting, and, like, different stuff than what we see in normal, like, paranormal shows.
Sure.
What if the entire show was a documentary because a documentary film crew died, and so the cameramen are also ghosts?
Oh, I love that. Oh my god.
So the whole show is this, like, broadcasting for dead people, like, broadcasting for the ghosts. I think that would be absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm on board. I like that.
So you see, like, every now and again the cameraman will, like, pan over to, like, the boom operator, and he's, like, got, like, the sunken eyes and all of that. I feel like we could do some, like, realistic but also, like, almost Beetlejuice level weirdness with, like, how they, like, look. I'm debating between having my character be, like, someone who died a long time ago and has been around for long enough now that, like, she can talk kind of normal. Like, she has this weird, like, mix of, like, modern and, like, old-timey speak, or just, like, a ghost that maybe died in, like, the early 2000s.
Oh, I mean, we don't get enough early 2000 ghosts.
We
like,
don't.
Every time it's always, like, you know, the meme that goes around is that we only get, like, Victorian children ghosts and never, like, early 2000 ghosts that echo, it's Britney, bitch. Like, the hallways, and I'm so on board.
I was thinking
modern ghosts.
Exactly that. I was thinking, like, that has to be, like, that meme is what, like, rang in my ears when I was just like, this is gonna be my ghost character. It's gonna be, like, early 2000s. I've been really into I've been listening to the Mean Girls musical lately. There's a
Preparing for the movie.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know that there was a movie coming up. I fell back into my obsession with Mean Girls, and then I saw the trailer, and I was like,
Perfect.
what? Yeah. There's a D&D podcast that I really like called Gals and Goblins. And it's about these girls that go to, like, an adventuring school. And naturally, because I have made an OC for every single movie, TV show, podcast, anything, you name it, I've made an OC for it. Like, there's a reason why I started this show, because I'm obsessed with making characters. And my OC for that character, or for that podcast that I kind of stuck into that world, just made me think a lot about, like, the song that they play at the end of Freaky Friday. Like, I've made my entire character based off of that and, like, her band's music from the movie Freaky Friday, which then sent me into my Lindsay Lohan phase, into Mean Girls. Natural progression of things, you know?
Absolutely. Yep.
So then the Mean Girls soundtrack got in my head. So I'm thinking My Girl Who Died was I'm trying to decide if she was, like, the cool, like, loser chick that died. Like, she was, like, a loser in school and died when she was, like, 17 in, like, her senior year. But she was very much the, like, you know, everybody hates me, like, I'm so edgy and emo and, like, that kind of chick. Or if she was just a full-on Regina George. Like, she was the mean girl, she was the head bitch, she was the, like, queen, and then she died, and everyone, like, very, like, Heather Chandler kind of thing. Or, like, if Regina George had died by getting hit by that bus. Like, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So, I don't know. I'm kind
Both
of...
are great directions.
I know. I'm on the fence about both of those. So, what ideas do you have for your ghost? And I maybe, you know, we'll shift depending.
Well, I feel like mine is matching one of yours, because my immediate instinct was to go with, like an angsty boom operator that kind of got, like, you know, they got electrocuted, like, while they were filming, and then they died. But the character is a lot in my brain. I'm trying to think of, like, something that they, like, Kim from Scott Pilgrim. Like, everything is kind of flat, everything is kind of, like, sarcastic and monotone, and, like, I'm just here now, like, holding my little boom thing. Like, everything is very kind of angsty. An angsty dead boom operator.
This whole episode is just going to make me think of more and more references to random shit, because there is a movie that I really like. I don't know if I should say trigger warning or something. It's a weird movie. It's a comedy, but it's called WristCutters, and it is about the after.
I've seen it.
You know it. Yes. Okay. So for those who haven't seen this, I love this movie. WristCutters is a movie about the afterlife for people who themselves. But the humor is great in it, because in this, like, afterlife, you can't smile. You can't smile, you can't laugh. It's not, just given the nature of, like, how you died and how you got to this afterlife, it's physically impossible. So the humor is very, like, deadpan, it's very flat, and people talk in this very, like, you know, monotone kind of way. So that's kind of what I imagine, like, vibe-wise from this character that you're describing.
Oh, I totally see that.
I love
totally
it.
Get that.
I have...
no one ever talks about that movie.
I know! No one knows about that. No one knows that movie exists. And so when I talk about it, I'm, like, talking so enthusiastically, because it's, like, such a fun movie. But they're like, it's about what?
Yeah, right. I know. I understand. I was Gogol Bordello kid, and they use his music like throughout it, and I think he's in it or something. So awesome. I remember hearing about it because people were like, Gogol Bordello's in this like weird movie, and so it's an obscure one.
I can't remember how I found that movie. I know I found it in high school, and teen Savannah had a weird sense of humor. Adult Savannah has a weird sense of humor, but, like, I enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, that's a great one. So because of that, I'm getting ideas for my character. I actually think, what if our characters were friends and died together?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what I think could be really interesting is, like, if our characters were friends and they were, like, paranormal so our characters are the, like, film people who died and now are, like, continuing their documentary because they were, like, paranormal investigator documentary people, then died and just decided in their afterlife, now we have proof. Because for some reason this still works, and we're gonna now make our documentary about ghosts. But their whole show is like, they interview different ghosts.
I love that.
Yeah.
I also love the idea, though. I think it'd be really funny because, like, our characters then would be this investigative, like, documentary ghost paranormal crew, and then we died, and then we are now ghosts, and we're like, we did it, we proved it, and now we are haunting a place, and other paranormal investigator documentary crews come in, and we're like trying to be like, hey, we're here, like we're slamming cabinets, and we're just like looking at their equipment going, amateurs, these guys don't even know what they're doing, they're not gonna pick anything up off of this, and we're basically just bullying other documentary crews while we're making our own, like, ghost documentary.
Yes. I love it. So I have kind of an idea that I think would be really fun is, like, what if we, like, were part of, it was like a trio, kind of like Blair Witch Project, like there were 3 of us, you know? What if only 2 of us died but 1 survived? And we, instead of us haunting one specific place, because, like, if we were to do, like, let's say, like, an episodic thing, each episode would be, like, going to a different place, we haunt our 3rd crew member.
Oh, and then everywhere that they go,
they
continue to do a paranormal investigation.
Yeah, and so the people we're bullying are, like, new crew members that this guy tries to, like, bring onto the team. But we're like, this guy sucks. Like, why did you hire him? No, we're not. Kick him out of the team. So, like, we are basically, like, it's like, you know how friends, like, if your friend goes on a date, you have to, like, vet that person. You have to be like,
sure.
And then you will try and sabotage the people who are assholes because your friend's not going to listen to you going on dates with dickheads. So it's like that, but we're like, this guy's an amateur, or this guy's a douchebag, this guy's not making good content, like, you're better than this, and so from the afterlife, we're going to, 1, help you to get the proof that you want and need, because now we know it's real, but also, you keep hiring idiots. You're like, why are you posting on Craigslist to ask for more people to come on the show?
Yeah, you're getting people that don't have good equipment, that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. I feel okay. So you said you were like the sound person, right? Your character would be like the sound guy. See, here's my problem. Is I said this from day one. I said this on the very first episode. Any opportunity I get to be like, I'm the diva, I'm the star, I'm the bard, I'm the whatever, I have to be that person. So, of course, my natural instinct is to be like, I'm the one who's in front of the camera. I was the host of this ghost show. I'm the one who is like, what's up, guys? So
you're the Zach Bagans. You're like the face. You're the face of it.
Yeah,
you're I'm in front. This is my story. All of his, like, every Ghost Adventures episode, he's like, this is my ghost hunting. And then there's my crew over here. And then that's me. Just like angrily holding the mic and like holding all of the EVP equipment, and I'm just like quiet in the back. I love that. I mean, you need the front man.
True.
So this is a perfect opportunity for you to be the on-camera diva.
So my dilemma is, yes, all of that is perfect. However, it would be so funny for me to have also been like a background dude. I was like maybe like the camera person, and you were like the sound person. And so the one guy that survived was the front man, was the camera guy.
Oh, yeah.
The in front of the camera guy. Because then I would be like, oh, well, why did you hide? This guy's camera sucks. Why did you, like... So I'm, like, judging the equipment, you know?
More opportunity to be more technical.
Yeah.
And it would also be funny because, like, as we are trying to continue making our, like, ghost documentary of them, like, I imagine if this was a TV show, the documentary footage would be primarily from our, like, equipment.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Like,
It would be from our equipment. Yeah. Like, you know how, like, when you die, this is your forever outfit? We died with our camera and with mic in hand, so we died with our equipment came to the afterlife with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're filming this, like, documentary, but the problem is we're still using the guy who's alive as, like, the front man to talk about, like, this is the haunted location that we're at because we're haunting him now.
Yeah.
So then we have to still film him, but then, like, I'm holding the mic and I'm standing next to the other guy who's alive holding the mic, and I'm just like, you're doing it wrong. You're in shot. Your boom is in the front. Like, you know, just picking him the whole time.
I've got my camera that, like, probably has been, like, out of style for at least, like, 5 to 10 years. So, but like, every time there's, like, another camera guy, I'm like, this guy is so pretentious. Look at this fucking, you know, like, it's something like that. Or, like, I would be like, hey, will you tell your guy to move the boom up a little bit? The mic is in the shot. Like, we're like,
right.
I love it so much.
That's great.
So, okay. So, first off, I love everything about this. I want to try and get a little bit more about how our characters interact. So, do you think... Let's talk about, like, who they were in life. So we know that they were a trio. Were they all, like, besties? Were they doing this, like, they just got, like... Maybe they did just answer, like, a Craigslist ad and they just all kind of fell into it? Or, like, what do you think the relationship between all three of us would have been when we were alive?
That's a good question. My instinct is always what would be the funniest. For whatever reason, I'm like, what do I think would be the funniest? And for my brain, I'm like, it would be that we were kind of all strangers that found each other, and now we're sort of, like, forever linked. So we don't really know, like, aside from being ghost hunters, we all had to, like, come together, and now we're finding out a lot about this guy that we're haunting.
Yeah.
Through us being dead and him still being alive, because we're like, oh, we just, like, answered this guy's Craigslist ad.
Yeah.
Which would also be funnier if he's now putting out new Craigslist ads, like, my former crew died and I need a new crew. And for us to be picking on, like, who he's picking based off of the Craigslist ads, because we were also Craigslist ad answers.
Yeah, absolutely. Because also, like, if he's honest in the Craigslist ad of, like, was paranormal investigating, crew died, and I need more crew members. We're like, what idiots are going to say yes to this? And he just keeps bringing on absolute fucking morons.
It would also, I know that it's just two of us right now, but it would be really funny if, like, somehow this guy was just terrible luck, and as, like, investigations go on, more of his crew members died and, like, joined our documentary crew.
By, like, the end of season 1, it's like 10 people, all with different varying levels of, like, equipment, just telling this guy, dude, at this point, just quit, or we're going to figure out a way to kill you so you can join us too.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love like, that.
Oh, hey, we've got all of these people who are with us, and we all are haunting this one guy who I can't imagine he would be, like, a character that would be doing it out of, like, malice. He's just, like, a walking, like, bad luck magnet. Like, everything, but he's fine, and everyone around him is, like, we walk into somewhere, and then you and I got, like, electrocuted by holding old equipment, and then having, you know, stepping in water or whatever, and then other people might have, like, been filming and backed up too far and, like, went off a cliff. Like, there's probably, like, things that would happen that he wouldn't be specifically at blame for, but somehow he's still this, like, kind of Zach Bagans-y front man is still alive and still going, and his crew keeps dying, and then they keep joining our crew. Yeah,
so I'm obsessed with this already. Because we can also, like, we can have, like, if it's, like, episodic, I would love to see, like, you know, each episode we're like, oh, let's go actually meet, like, the ghost of this place, of this, like, prison or whatever. So we can have, like, real interviews with the ghosts, even though, like, he can't get them on camera, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like each, like, new ghost is like, who's this guy? And they're just like, I'm sorry about him.
Don't mind
like,
him.
even the ghosts are like, so don't mind the one living dude. Ignore him, you know?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. So, like, and then it turns into, like, the reason he can't get actual proof is because we tell the ghost to ignore him because he's being a douche or he's being a stupid.
Oh. I love that
so
too.
they just end up ignoring him, and so you see in the background him with like an EMF reader, and like a bird goes by and he's losing his mind in the background while we're like, so how did you die? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that so much. Oh my god. I'm also like, for me, like, comedy-wise, I think the funniest relationships to see on camera are usually siblings. And I think that's just because my sister is probably the funniest person I've ever met, and we have such a twisted sense of humor that, like, only I would laugh at the kind of stuff that she says, and at the same time, she can only say the stuff that she says around me.
Sure. Yeah.
So, like,
I get that.
I feel like maybe, like, one of us was this guy's sibling, and the other was a Craigslist ad person.
I love that.
And so, like, maybe we, like, barely knew each other, but, like, maybe the front man was, like, my brother or something. So, like, I know him, but you're a stranger and you just came into this trio, but somehow we were the ones that died.
Yeah.
And so, while you're just like, what is this guy talking about? And I'll just be like, that's just who he is. He's been like that since we were kids, you know?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So, like, I would love to, like, I'd be the one to, like, pull pranks, knowing what I know about him. And so, like, I feel like on some weird level, he knows he's being haunted by his sister. Like, he knows he's being haunted by me. He ends up turning that into, like, his gimmick. He turns that into content. He's like, I'm a ghost, or I'm a ghost hunter, and I, like, you know, I lost my sister at blah, blah, blah. It turns into, like, that was his, like, sob story or whatever that he uses in his show to, like, get more views. Yeah. And so whenever he goes, he'll ask, like, was that a message from this ghost that lives whoever? And then it's like, was that a message from fucking Stacy? You know, like...
Yeah, totally.
I've now decided that my character's name is Stacy. That name just popped into my head, so that's where I'm at. So.
All right. Yep. It just came to you.
Gotta be Stacy.
Yeah.
Yep. That's something I love to ask people. Actually, I'll ask you this too. I love asking guests this. If you like make characters, if you're like that kind of person, how do you usually come up with names? Because I've shown in my record, like, I like to look up names that have, like, a meaning that, like, means something for that character, whether it's, like, you know, if they are someone who has, like, a power that has to do with fire, I'll look up names that mean, you know, fire, warm, or something like that. So, on the flip side, sometimes a name will just pop into my head, and I'm like, well, the universe has decided her name is Stacy. So, how would you usually go about doing, like, the little details of, like, naming characters?
Sometimes it also just kind of comes to me. Again, of my, like, tabletop gaming experience where I've been, like, character creating, I got to do a couple of, like, one-shot games with one character, and then I played Cyberpunk 2077 for a little bit. And that's about it. So I have basically made 2 characters in the past. And both of them, I actually don't remember what my cyberpunk name was, but I want to say it was something kind of like not non-binary and ridiculous sounding, like trash. Like literally the name was trash.
Yep.
Like that's, like, I remember trying to come up with something, and I don't fully remember what their name was. And then when in the one shot I was playing, because it wasn't really a one shot, it was other people's campaign that I was doing a one shot with.
Nice.
So they all had, like, characters and, like, elaborate backstories, and my character's name was Elsa from Frozen. It was just Elsa from Frozen. And, so I don't have, like, a whole. I don't know how that came to me. The name Elsa came to me, and I was like, I can't think of a last name, so here it is.
Yeah.
From Frozen.
There
we go. Just change it. So for this, I'm trying to think of just, like, what would feel like a Craigslist ad boom operator. And my brain goes to something kind of like, you know, no one calls me by my real name. Everyone calls me DJ. Like that's, and no one knows what my real name is because I just keep telling people it's DJ.
Yeah.
Don't call me whatever my real name is.
Well, I think that's the universe right there telling you that your character's name is DJ. Yep. Which is kind of badass considering you're also a sound operator. Like, I feel like your character would have chosen that nickname on purpose. Like, because you're like, oh, well, I really like producing sound and whatever. And, like, when you got into, like, college, let's say we're, like, college-aged, you were like, oh, well, it's very, like, you know, Pitch Perfect, Mean Girls, like, girl comedy movie. You are the cool, edgy girl.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the vibe that I'm getting, is, like, you were, like, the, God, there's so many, like, movies that I could reference in this, but you were, like, the Janice Ian of this world when you died.
I love that.
Yep.
I'm on board.
We love the edgy cool girl. Totally.
Yep.
I'm here for it. That's exactly what my, like, OC for this, like, that Gals and Goblins podcast. When I started creating this OC, I'm like, this is her. She is the early 2000s cool girl, like, edgy girl vibe. And I'm so here for it. I think DJ is a great one. And we don't even have to, like, come up with her real name, because who cares?
Yeah, doesn't exist anymore. It's a literal dead name now.
I love this. Oh, I'm so here for that. It's a literal dead name. Oh my god, that's funny. Anyway, yeah, I think Stacy, she was not necessarily, like, preppy girl. I feel like Stacy hated her name, but she never got to the point where she could come up with, like, a decent sounding nickname for herself. So when she meets DJ, she is, like, all about it. She thinks DJ is the coolest fucking person. Like, she's not necessarily, like, super bubbly or preppy or happy or whatever, but she's also not, like, oh, I'm gonna be super, like, angsty or, like, edgy goth chick. I feel like she's like, if your character was Janice, my character would be Caddy. You're Katie. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So very, like, wow, even I'm mispronouncing her name. That's hilarious. But, like, very, like, you know, I just kind of, like, show up. I don't really know what my thing is. I know, like, my parents got me a camera for Christmas in high school, and me and my brother just kind of got into it. But I like ghosts, and I like spooky stuff, and so this was, like, kind of a perfect way for me to get into it. But, so she kind of died before she really got a chance to, like, figure her shit out, you know? Before she got a chance to figure out, like, what she's into, what she likes, like, who she is, that kind of thing, and so,
especially if she kind of latched on to her brother's thing, and he was like, come be my camera person, and she was just kind of like, okay, I guess I'll do this, but, like, it wasn't really tied to her identity as it was this
to his
guy.
She does, I feel like, okay, so, you know, starting to get a little deep into, like, lore here, she has a little bit of, like, resentment. And I feel like that is what's tying her soul. That's what's keeping her from, like, moving on. Is because that's her unfinished business. Is, like, this was not my thing. Yeah, I like ghosts. I like spooky stuff. Like, you and I were raised on horror movies or whatever. But this was your thing. You were the guy who wanted this show. I just did it because I wanted to hang out with you. And, like, I just wanted something to do, you know? Like, so that's kind of her, like, unfinished business. And I feel like a really interesting, like, personal quest or personal, like, goal within herself would be, like, if she doesn't, like, figure out how to, like, finish her business or, like, become at peace with this, she will eventually turn into, like, a vengeful ghost, and then eventually turn into, like, poltergeist or something. So it could eventually evolve into something, like, dangerous or bad in terms of, like, where her spirit's at. But but at this point, like, in the beginning of the show, she's not really at that point. And I would say she probably doesn't even know that that's, like, the case. She probably doesn't know that that's something that could happen to her, but that could be an interesting, like, thing to explore at some point with her as a character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that.
See, now I want to figure out some kind of, like, TTRPG, like, some kind of role-playing game, but that's this, you know? Like, I want to play this. Yeah. I want to play Stacy as a character, because she sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be a good, like, what is that? There's, like, a kind of tabletop game that, it's like a 7 candles game that, like, when you run out of candles, like, it's something about how, like, when the candles, like, literally burn down, then that person's, like, time is over. Like, everyone in the game, like, dies over time, and it's just how much can you accomplish until you get there. So maybe this kind of game would be like how much can you resolve personally before you just go full poltergeist.
Yeah.
Like, you have this much time and you have to work through your, like, spite and your resentment or whatever. You have to figure out what your unfinished business is before your time literally runs out.
So I'm gonna put this out there for anybody, and if you want to do this, like, I will figure out a way to make this happen. If anyone wants, like, a special like session or episode, like a special video for us to put out where we play a game like that, and it's just, I will round up so many people to play this game. Like, that sounds like so much fun.
Yeah.
I would love to do something like that. Where, like, yeah, we're all ghosts and we all have to, like, resolve the unfinished business. Otherwise, we turn into angry, vengeful, like, not even, like, a spirit of ourselves anymore. We just turn into, like, the embodiment of anger. Because that's where I think a lot of, like, paranormal investigation, or even, like, shows like, I think Supernatural explores this a lot. I think Being Human actually, like, kind of explores that concept, too, where it's, like, if the ghost doesn't, like, resolve their unfinished business, or doesn't, like, let go of their anger or resentment, or sometimes mourning, like, sadness, loss, whatever it is that's, like, keeping their soul here, they kind of, like, they start to lose their humanity, because they start to lose their, like, consciousness and become just this, because that's what ghosts are. They're manifestations of spirit, their energy, right? They are the energetic self that we are, just without the meat suit. So I feel meat suit is the grossest term to me. I don't know why I just said that out loud. That's so gross. But yeah, very much like, eventually, like, they turn into just the energetic, condensed version of that, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not condensed, but, like, maybe it is condensed. I don't know. But they are, like, just the pure, like,
essence.
Yeah, they are just the pure energy manifestation of that feeling, not necessarily of their consciousness or of their consciousness just goes void. Like, they just stop existing anymore. So, yeah, that can be a fun little challenge for Miss Stacy, because she's like, now I just gotta figure out what I want, but I'm stuck tied to this douchebag? Like, Jesus Christ, this is my life now? So that's her, I guess, afterlife? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, okay, well, that's a great question to ask, too, if we're talking about our characters or ghosts. What do you think DJ's unfinished business is? What do you think what's keeping her soul tied to Stacy and her stupid brother?
I mean, I'm in between, like, 2 directions.
Okay.
Direction number 1 would be just spite. That, like, I was just supposed to do this one job, and I was, like, this boom operator, and I was going to get paid $50 to show up, and now I have to follow this guy, right? Like,
this was so not worth $50.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't even get the $50 now. Like, this is
stupid.
Now my time here is over, because then I didn't get to, like, do the things that I wanted to, like, this is just a side gig for me. So maybe it would actually be tied, because the other thing I was thinking was just kind of, like, similar to yours, but, like, a feeling of, like, unfulfillment. Like, if DJ was like, my dream is to get this, like, documentary out to the world and show the proof. Maybe the drive of still documenting everything, still filming, still recording all of the EVP sessions, doing all of the interviews is like this feeling of needing to feel accomplished, like feel like the story was told, like it was finished. So maybe it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of like absolute pure rage that I was not like, this was not the project that I was really excited about, but I thought it would be like a gateway to, well, if I get this one, then maybe I can, you know, get more serious roles, and this is just like, it's something that I believe in and I want the story to be told. So or a little bit of spite and a little bit of like, I need this story to be out, I need people to know.
I love that. I feel like there can be like, I would love to see a scene where it's kind of if it's documentary style, you know how like they'll show like, you know, the camera person peeking through like the blinds and like hearing like a hushed conversation. I feel like because they are ghost equipment, they are constant, there's no need, their electricity, like there's no battery left, you know? So if it's ghost equipment, I feel like camera's constantly running, the mic is constantly on, there's no way to like turn it off because they died with their equipment on. I would love to see a scene where it's like the camera's like set to the side, so you kind of just see like them from like the waist up just sitting there, like if they're on the floor of some like abandoned house or something, and Stacy and DJ are talking and kind of talking about like why they're still there, talking to each other and having like a brief kind of serious moment of like, you know, this wasn't what I was supposed to do. Like, I was going to school for, you know, whatever. Or I was, like, yeah, I wanted to do, like, paranormal. I wanted to explore, like, ghosts or paranormal. I wanted to be a documentary maker. This was not the kind of, like, this is some, like, hokey, gimmicky YouTube show shit that your brother's doing, and, like, I wasn't supposed to do this. I wanted to be, like, a serious filmmaker about this topic, like, but now I'm doing this gimmicky shit. Meanwhile, my character is like, yeah, honestly, like, I'm into this stuff, this is fun, but I didn't want to be a camera person, this is stupid. Maybe, like, that is something for Stacy of, like, she wanted to be the front man, she wanted to be, you know, in front of the camera and be that, like, I want to make the content, and I want to be the, you know, but never got a chance to, because her brother was so much just like, no, I'm the front man, you hold the camera. Yeah, I love that.
I do think it's funny, too, if, like, so, like, you're saying, like, this is, like, gimmicky YouTube, like, stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That maybe this guy is also, this, like, the brother, the front man, is maybe trying to fake evidence for views. And then us as ghosts
we're like,
trying to negate the faked evidence. So the real ghost activity that he's getting on camera looks like there's no ghost activity because everything that he's trying to rig, we're unrigging. So, like, for him, he's like, I'm supposed to get the scene where, like, this cup is, like, pulled off of the thing, but with fishing wire. And I got these new Craigslist crew guys.
Who cut the fishing wire? Like, who cut it?
Yeah, and, like, there's all of this, like, ghost activity that's happening from us, but it's just us trying to, like, negate the fake stuff.
Yeah, so nothing...
Like, no, you're not gonna fake. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, none of this shit. Like, how dare you? I feel like the brother's name... Oh, God, I had it earlier, and I can't remember what it was. But I want to say the brother's name is something, like, basic as hell. Something, like, kind of like frat bro-y, you know?
Yeah.
Very
Josh.
just...
No offense to Joshes.
No offense to any Joshes out there.
Chad is... Yep.
I feel like now it has to be Josh.
Yeah, sorry, Josh. I know a lot of nice Joshes. It was just the first, like, kind of basic name that came to my brain. I was like, oh, you know, Josh.
You know what? You're completely correct. Like, when I think of, like, frat bro-y basic white boy names, Josh is up there on the list, but every Josh I've ever met has been really nice and really cool.
Yeah, it's nothing against Joshes. It was the first, like, what's a generic name that...
Yeah, I love it. I think Josh is great. Any Joshes want to come forward and be our paranormal guy.
Yeah.
You need to figure out a way to cosplay this frat bro-y paranormal YouTuber. Yeah. Oh my God, that's funny.
And he comes in really hard. Like, his personality is also kind of the worst, where he'll like pause and be like, oh, did you guys hear that noise? Like and subscribe if you guys heard
yeah,
that sound. Like, he's like the worst.
He's the guy that talks like this, and he holds his hands up. I'm so glad I remembered to hit record video so that I could get this. Like, he's the guy that talks like this, and he gets really excited, and but he's like, I feel like in real life, he still does that even when the camera's not rolling. Like, that's just how he talks, man. He talks like an overly enthusiastic youth pastor.
Perfect. Exactly. Yep.
You know? Like, that's the guy. But he talks like that outside of the camera, too, and I feel like he's one of those dudes that, like, even though the way he talks and the way he, like, you know, does his thing is the same on and off camera, he's less douchey and more fun and more real and cool when the camera's off. Like,
yeah, totally.
He turns
he's
up,
like
he turns up the frat bro big time when he's, like, when the camera's rolling. But when the camera's off, he's like, yeah, I'm still gonna talk like this, but honestly, I'm actually a real person, you know, like, he does get real sometimes. I would love to see, like, I think one really cool scene that would be, like, it would be, like, if this were a show, it would be, like, several episodes in, but at one point, like, camera's still, you know, Stacy's camera is still rolling, because it always is, but his camera's off, and there's a conversation that he's having with someone, maybe not, like, they, like, because they have to follow him everywhere, so they go to, like, bars, like, they go to, like, random places, wherever, the grocery store, you know? Yeah. I would love to see a conversation where he's talking to someone and talks about Stacy, like, talks about his sister, and usually when he talks about her, it's, like, obvious that he's talking about her for sympathy points, you know? But there's a moment where he gets, like, really real, where he talks about, like, a really cool memory with her or something, and even Stacy's like, really nice, you know? She's like, shit, don't be real. What the fuck is... Stop. Like,
it also,
don't act like you actually love me.
Yeah, it would make sense that he's not, like, the worst, because you wanted to spend time with him. Like, you were like, yeah, I'll do this project with my brother, and I'm gonna spend time with you. But it also makes it funny that then when he's, like, turning it, like, amping it up as you're, like, a ghost watching him, you're just like, oh my god, Josh, that's so embarrassing.
I hate this guy. Yeah, that is typical, like, big brother fashion. I feel like, when they died, if, like, age-wise, I feel like she was maybe, like, a freshman in college, and he was, like, a junior in college. But, like, she was, like, I feel like she really looked up to him. She, like, hey, I got into the same school as you. Like, that's really awesome. Hey, like, I want to, like, we maybe, like, when we were really little, played, like, make-believe, and we would pretend like we were on TV shows and stuff. Like, that's, okay. That's something I did as a little kid. Like, I need to make this clear. There's a reason I do this show, and it's because I've been making up characters, playing make-believe. I've been doing this stuff my entire life. Me and my cousins and my sister, when we were really little, used to play make-believe, but we would play make-believe, like, we played, like, news programs or whatever. Like, we would, like, pretend, and I would have my mom, I think I had my mom at some point, like, film us doing these, like, fake news programs, but we were, like, 6, you know? Like, we were, like, kids. And I feel like that's something that, like, Stacy and Josh did as kids. Like, they would, like, play news programs or play, like, you know, different, like, make-believe or whatever. But it would always be, like, pretending like they were on TV, you know? Yeah. And so that was kind of their goal. Like, they did want to go into some kind of, like, broadcasting or some kind of thing, like, together. At least she wanted to do it with him because she really, like, looked up to him. She thought he was so creative and so, like, innovative and, like, really could, like, write great stories or write great whatever. And he just turned the douchebag, like, I feel like he did join a fraternity in college, and that's what made him turn up the, like, fake frat bro. So another part of her, like, relationship with him in her, like, afterlife is like, dude, this is not you. Like, you're a real person, act like one. So part of her, like, unfinished business, I don't think she's aware of it. I think she's more aware of, like, my unfinished business was figuring out what I was supposed to do with my life before I died. But part of her, like, unfinished business, and I think more so part of his unfinished business with her, was she needs to help him be a person again and not just this, like, douchey camera frat bro. Yeah, this character of Josh versus, like, who he is as in real life. So, one of the, like, pranks that she can do on him a lot is, like, maybe put, like, you know, songs stuck in, like, she'll, like, get up to his ear and start singing, like, songs that he used to like when they were kids. You know, that he would, like, he pretends he doesn't like, you know, girly pop music, but then she will get into his ear and be like, it's Britney, bitch, just to see if he'll start singing or something. I think that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I'm talking a lot about, like, Stacy and Josh. More so the relationship between, like, Stacy and DJ. When DJ comes on, like, before they died, Josh was like, hey, you know, you've been doing, like, the mic stuff, but we need to, like, get better audio, too, so you've been doing camera stuff. I mean, so, like, we need better audio, so let's bring on a third person and just have them, like, hold, like, the mic and be, like, our sound operator. I feel like, so I have two different ways to go about it. Either it was a Craigslist thing, or maybe if this was, like, college, when they died, maybe there was, like, a community board, you know, like one of those, like, bulletin boards somewhere, in, like, a student lounge, kind of wherever, and, like, your character just DJ kind of found it and just, like, pulled off the tab. Or DJ was in class with either Josh or Stacy. Because if you had, like, a class, like, let's say you had, like, an AV class with Josh can be like, hey, Stacy, I brought, you know, there's my classmate, and Stacy meets DJ, like, on that day, like, on that project that they're about to go to, like, is the one that they died at. So they met, like, that day. Yeah. Or Stacy's the one who's like, hey, there's this girl in my class, she's really cool, and I think she would be really good for this. Either way, Stacy thinks DJ's the coolest bitch. Stacy's just like, wow, okay, you're really awesome, you know? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it could be a little both. It could be like, you know, maybe DJ and Stacy were in, like, an AV class together, and DJ has always been, like, kind of like, I'm gonna sit in the corner and I'm not gonna talk to anyone or whatever, but then there's, like, a bulletin board in the AV class for, like, people who are trying to put together film projects of, like, oh, we're, you know, doing this, you know, movie or whatever, and DJ's just trying to get more experience and maybe a little extra cash, and saw, like, Stacy put up a thing that's, like, looking for a audio person, and I just kind of walked up and was like, oh, I could be the audio person, but, like, maybe they didn't speak in class at all. They were on opposite sides of the room, and they just sort of met they've been in this class the whole time together, and then they're like, okay, well, and then Stacy's just like, I might have to warn you about my brother Josh. Buckle up, because he is a character on camera. Right.
And she's just like, and then, I'm telling you, I promise he's cool. I promise. Yeah. Like, don't let the frat part dissuade you, because I promise he's a cool guy.
But then when DJ gets there, every time he's just like, hey guys, we're gonna do this. Like, come on, like and subscribe. Do you guys hear a bell sound? That's the sound of you smashing that notification button. Like, every time he does something like that, like, you would be the Pam to my Jim expressions, you know, from the office, that I'm just like, he's a cool guy. Yeah, he's a cool guy underneath it all, and you're like, please don't judge him by this.
DJ looks at Stacy, and Stacy is doing this, like, actively trying to block her face to be like, don't look at me.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I am always a big time sucker for ships. I have said this in almost every single episode. If I see an opportunity for a ship, I'm making it happen. So I 100% think that Stacy has, like, the biggest crush on DJ. Aww. But because, again, freshman in college, she has no idea who she is. She doesn't know, like, she doesn't know what her vibe is, you know what I mean? Sure. So, she's, like, 18. She, like, has never had a crush on a girl before. She doesn't know. She's never really, like, I feel like she also was, like, died a virgin, you know what I, like, she never had, like, a boyfriend, never had anyone. She maybe had, like, one really awkward first kiss when she was like a junior in high school under the bleachers at a football game, you know, like that kind of thing. So I think like she very much was like, I just think DJ's really cool. Like, she's kind of intimidating because she doesn't really talk to anybody, and she dresses in black and is like, I feel like also just purely based on, because another question I have to ask is like, what do these characters look like? I feel like DJ just looks like you. Like, is dressed the way that you're currently dressed.
Fair, yeah.
You know?
I can see that,
very like not quite goth but not quite hipster, is in that like kind of cool girl cross section, you know?
Sure.
And Stacy just thinks like, you're really cool and you dress really nice, you know, is one of those like so awkward. So if Stacy was the one like putting up the bulletin and DJ comes up and is like, oh, you need like a mic person? Yeah, I could do that for you. Yeah. She's panicking. She gay panics. And now they died together and now they're stuck in the afterlife together, and she's just like, fuck! her whole afterlife is just gay panic.
It's just, yeah, you know, you said she had a lot to figure out, so Stacy's got a lot to figure out.
That's one of them.
All across the board.
God, can you imagine dying before having your, like, gay awakening?
Oh my gosh.
How sad.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I guess it could happen in your afterlife if this is the case. Sometimes. Hey,
man, what DJ feels about Stacy is entirely up to you. I'm just telling you how Stacy feels.
I feel like DJ probably is just, like, now at this point, if she's dead, she was like, I'm gonna take this job. They seem like cool people. Or Stacy seems like a cool person.
At least Stacy does, yeah.
With it. And I'll just be here or whatever. But I feel like a lot of it is gonna be a slow development of like having DJ's relationship with Stacy, because they didn't really know each other. So like having DJ's relationship with Stacy, and then also DJ's like afterlife relationship with like realizing that Josh isn't as bad of a guy as he seems like at first. Like having this like new, because it's funny that they're adjacent strangers. They're like, we've been in this class together, but we know nothing about each other, and now we have to learn who each other are and how we're in this situation together and how we have to like get out of this, if there is a way to get out of this situation.
But then I also feel like a great conflict would be like, okay, what happens when one of them does, and this can be a conversation for like if we end up doing like a sequel episode. So something I love about these episodes is like all of this is set up. The whole like show, my what I want to do is like set up of like, let's establish the world, our characters, their relationship, all of that. If we want to get into plot or like story or ending or stuff like that, let's do a sequel episode. I'm so down for doing like more developing of story or whatever. But you know, an interesting question would be like, what would happen if like after this like kind of almost like slow burn / found family kind of thing, what would happen if, like, one of them is able to cross over? One of them does find the light, but the other one has to stay behind. At that point, they've already developed such a close, like, relationship to each other, like, in their afterlife, that it's, like, now the conflict is, like, well, now I don't really want to go unless I go with you, and it's so sweet. But yeah, I feel,
so sweet.
It is. I do agree with you that, like, I feel like DJ would at least start out just neutral. Like, not really have an opinion of just, like, oh, it's that chick from my class. You know, like, just be like, okay. Yeah, she seems palatable to talk to. Like, I feel like DJ's absolutely just quintessential introvert.
Yeah,
and
totally.
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, very much is, like, you seem, like, okay to chat with, and I need a job, or I need like a gig, so cool. Your brother is annoying as all hell based on the first 5 minutes of talking to him, and I absolutely, like, when they died, like at the moment that they died, when they realized that they're ghosts, there would absolutely be some like almost like having to go from like neutral, like, strangers to enemies to friends. Like, that would be, like, the natural progression. Stacy never wanted to be, like, enemies, but, like, I feel like DJ would get pissed. Like, when realizing, and get so pissed, mad. Like, can't take it out on Josh, because Josh can't see or hear her. So then turns on Stacy and is like, this is your fault, man. If you had never posted that stupid thing, blah, blah. And Stacy's like, I'm dead too, bitch. Like, I didn't choose this. Like,
yeah, totally.
Like, maybe it was like, I like the idea of electrocution. I also kind of like the idea of, like, what if they went to, like, a haunted place and a ghost there, or, like, that's how they learn that ghosts kind of, like, devolve into like, a natural, like, angry essence or whatever. Like, maybe they went to somewhere where someone's ghost did just naturally devolve into, they are past poltergeist, they are just now vengeance, or they are just now anger and death and like, wanting to kill someone or something. So they died because of this, like, angry ghost. And one thing that I feel like would be an interesting, like, plot point too is all three of them refuse to return. Like, Josh has had these moments of, like, or maybe, like, other crew members that come on have told him, what if we did an episode, what if we did a thing where you return to that place, like, do, like, you know, oh, it's, you know, an anniversary, and Josh is like, like, pretends to be considering it, but, like, refuses. And so an interesting plot point would be, like, what would happen if they go back and they find the ghost that killed them? Yeah, I feel like both of them, like, definitely, it was a ghost. It was ghost activity that killed them. But I'm trying to think if it would be, like, okay, it was obvious that a ghost killed them, or maybe it was framed as, like, it looked like an accident or something that, like, maybe, like, one of them tripped and, like, caused the other person to stumble, or one of them, like, you know, disappeared and the other one went to go look, and so then when they died, like, they can kind of be like, you're the one who posted this job board, you know, who posted on the bulletin board. If you hadn't done that, I wouldn't be here. And the other one's like, well, you were the one who tripped over the wiring or tripped over that loose floorboard that made us both, like, fall through the stairs, so fuck you. You know, like, it's a kind of like a back and forth, like, who's the reason the other person died, when in reality it was just this vengeful ghost in this other place that, like, just killed him.
Yeah. It would also be kind of funny too, though, if as they go on future investigations, because I was thinking about this when we're talking about the, like, kind of relationship between Stacy and DJ and how they have to get to know each other. Yeah. As soon as we add potential future crew members into the mix, the whole dynamic could shift.
Yeah.
And I think it would be really funny if, as, like, Stacy and DJ are, like, fighting about, it was your fault. It was your fault that we were, like, you were the one who was holding the electric cable that way, and that's why I tripped. Like, we're arguing or whatever. Something that we do as ghosts maybe is one of the reasons that the next crew member dies. That there's, like, an accident and then suddenly they're dead, and then we have to be like, oh, hey, like, I'm so sorry. That was us. We didn't mean to. We meant, like, and maybe that's how they make up, is like, oh, we killed that guy. Now he's with us. So now we have to get along because you and I are in this together. We just murdered that dude.
We just killed a guy. Yeah, exactly. I feel like Stacy's the one who still hasn't, like, fully wrapped her head around the fact that she is dead. And so, like, you know, she is in part the reason that this guy died, and she was like, oh my god, we just murdered somebody. Like, we just actually did a murder. Like, murder's, like, the worst illegal thing. Like, she says something about, like, getting arrested, and DJ just has to, like,
yeah, who's gonna arrest
You're dead.
The ghost police?
Oh my god, they kill a ghost. They kill a cop, and so now there's a ghost cop that, like, is on set with them everywhere.
Yeah. Just telling people, like, this is trespassing and it's illegal. And they're like, that's beyond your
You're dead,
now,
dude. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I love being able to like branch out and be like, okay, what other people like do they have? Other camera dudes. Stacy would absolutely get into full on like fights and art. Every time someone dies is not because they actively try and kill someone, it's because two of the ghosts are arguing with each other. That just becomes a running gag through the whole show, is like when two ghosts argue, something goes wrong and another person dies, that's how the fight ends.
And then those two people are resolved because they're like, well, we just did a murder.
We just
so
did
I guess this is over.
I want to see the cop fighting with someone and it turns into the cop accidentally killing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. But then at that point the fight doesn't end because it's like, you killed someone. And he's like, that wasn't my fault. And we're like, you motherfucker. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god, that's funny. I love it. Yeah, I feel like we have a great, like, set here, and I want to do more, but we're kind of at that, like, hour point, like, I just want to make more scenes and more ideas, but I feel like everything that we write from now on is just going to end up being, like, sequel episode stuff.
Yep, yeah, we gotta save it for part 2.
I can't, this is the hardest part for me, is, like, I don't want to do part 2s, I want a 7-hour episode of us just talking about ghost film crews.
Oh, okay, before we end it, we need to know what Josh called the show. What did Josh call the Ghost Hunters like show? He needs like a really punny, like kind of cringy name, right?
Oh man. Like a punny name. So I feel like the show was called something different before Stacy and DJ died. Mm-hmm. I feel like afterwards he changed the name of the show, and the only name that's coming to mind for me is call the show Unfinished Business.
Yeah.
Because one of the like running gags can be like when he's trying to like get EMF readings, or when he's trying to go use the like, you know, whatever they're called, I can't remember, the spirit box, you know, the thing that does like the radio frequencies. Mm-hmm. He'll, like, a running gag would be, like, he starts with, like, oh, is this the ghost of, you know, Miss Haversham that lived in this house, or whatever, and when it doesn't, and the spirit box just says, nerd, or something like that, where it's, like, is this Stacy, or something, like, is this a message from my sister, like, that can be a thing, because he really plays it up on the show, so afterwards I feel like the show is called Unfinished Business.
Yeah, which is kind of perfect because, you know, in, like, BuzzFeed Unsolved, every end of the episode, they would be like, I guess this is one that's unsolved. Every episode, he would be like, I guess this location is going to be unfinished business for us. Like, you know, he can, like, end it on, like, a note. He
100% stole that from a ghost show that he likes to watch. Like, he stole that from BuzzFeed Unsolved. Like, that's... He's not that creative.
Exactly. Yeah. When we were talking about, like, ghost shows, you mentioned Supernatural earlier. Yeah. And they have, like, the episodes where they do there's, like, a paranormal investigator crew like that, and they're called Ghost Chasers.
Oh my god, yeah.
And it's, like, so bad. And it would be really funny if he's, like, really trying to push this show that's, like, you know, Ghost Finder or whatever. And then it's, like, a, you know, kind of cringy ghost hunter's name, and was, like, forcing everyone to wear Ghost Finder shirts, so that when they were filmed, and then that became our ghost outfit. Like, we're stuck forever in t-shirts that say, like, you know, Ghost Finders or whatever.
It's like
we're like
no. It's even worse. It's like the ghost map or something. It's something map related. Yeah. So they're both wearing some kind of map with like an X on it, of like X marks the spot, with like this really shitty drawn like cartoon ghost next on top of the X.
Yeah, and then that's their ghost outfit forever. They're stuck in this, and then he changes the show, so then as future crew members show up, they're like, what the hell are those shirts you guys are wearing? And we're like, no, please
both Stacey and DJ are angry, and they're like, man, fuck you, y'all get... and the unfinished business like shirt, because it does gain popularity, it does gain traction. As time goes on, the merch gets better and better quality. And so more people die and they've got better t-shirts, whereas like Stacy and DJ have like homemade hand-painted t-shirts that Josh made Stacy paint on like her weekend or something.
Incredible.
And they are pissed about it. They're like, man, you got like professional, really good looking merch, and we get this. I'm not that good at painter. This is crap. Like,
yeah, yep. And then that does, because like that the angst that they would both have, that they're like, this is my ghost outfit forever.
It just adds.
This is what I'm gonna be known for. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely like adds to their like angry ghost vibe. Oh my god, I love this so much. You know what? I'm gonna title, I want to start coming up with like more creative titles for these episodes. I'm gonna name this episode Unfinished Business.
Perfect.
Yep, it's gonna happen.
Perfect.
Alright, I'm gonna wind it up really quick. So our summary, which I feel like is probably the best like summary or most concise like thing that we've got now, is when a college project goes wrong, siblings Josh and Stacy want to start a paranormal investigation YouTube show, and they enlist in the help of one of Stacy's classmates, DJ. Something goes wrong, and Stacy and DJ end up mysteriously, or not so mysteriously, dying on set, on their show during recording one time. And what they don't realize until almost moments later is they're ghosts. They wake up and stuck in their really shitty homemade ghost map t-shirts from the show Ghost Map. They both realize very quickly that they cannot leave each other's side, and even worse, they cannot leave Stacy's older brother, Josh, who decides in his weird, twisted way of mourning the loss of his sister and this random chick that he did not know, he is going to continue his paranormal investigation show. And because of the nature of their death, the spirits of Stacy and DJ need to follow him and continue their own version of this paranormal investigation with working equipment that only works for the spirit world. And not long after that, they do realize in a heated ghost fight, they end up killing one of the other newest crew members. And that becomes almost like a sick, twisted little trend with them, because Josh just cannot give up this damn show. Now called Unfinished Business, he continues despite all of the interference and interaction from the ghosts that the material world never actually seems to capture. If you in the audience want to maybe make your own character, make one of the other ghosts, make one of the new crew members that join, figure out how Stacy and DJ kill this one. You can make, or one of the ghosts maybe that they interview in one of these haunted places. I would love to see what everybody kind of comes up with and creates for this, because I want to see what people create in terms of their own OCs for like the other episodes, but this one has so much potential to be funny as hell. So if you guys have any characters or ideas, if this inspired you in any way, you can leave a comment here on YouTube. You can also go leave a comment or check us out on Instagram at Not Quite Novelists, or join our Discord. That will be linked in the description. Also on our Instagram, the link in bio will be there as well. Xristi, where can people find you on the internet?
People can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, basically everything at Xristi Witch, which is Xristi Witch. I started Twitch streaming. I'm on YouTube, and I post really dumb TikToks. So go follow me on one of those things. Yep.
If y'all are into just funny witchy content, please go follow Xristi. Being an internet witch myself, I have a whole playlist on YouTube of just witchy content that I call my digital grimoire. And it's just people posting
cute.
Right? I think it's stuff like how to celebrate Sabbats, different like spell work videos. It's all the like kind of informational like beginner stuff videos that you find on YouTube for witchcraft. And I found one of your videos and I was like, well, I'm gonna go through like all of these and save all of this person's content. Xristi, you were genuinely the perfect guest to have these prompts for.
I'm so glad.
I was hoping all day, I was thinking about this episode, I was thinking about recording, and I was like, I hope it lands on witches. I hope it lands on, like, something, like, spooky or paranormal. Like, I hope it doesn't land on, like, space western or something, because it would be so perfect for the two internet witches to get something, like, witchy or spooky. And this hit the nail on the head. It's funny and spooky. I legit had, like, a minor fangirl moment when I was, like, when we first started talking and I messaged you, but I was stoked. And then
I was just like, oh, new friend.
Right, exactly. And then I was like, new friend. Specifically, new witchy internet friend is my favorite kind.
New witchy internet friend.
We love. So yeah, everybody go follow Xristi. Go like and do all of the. I'm gonna be Josh for a moment. Smash that like button.
Perfect. Nailed it.
I don't know how to be a YouTuber because I don't know how to do the outro of like, subscribe, do all the things. It feels awkward to say it.
Yeah. I know.
It's great. Anyway, go like the content. Go interact with us. Go talk to us about these spooky ghosts because they're really funny and I love all of them. And I at least will see you guys next week.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.